My gosh, it is 6:53 a.m. in the morning on Saturday. I would normally be sleeping right now, but I had a fairly amazing beyond body experience. Um, wow. And it's raw. And I love doing this because it's right in my mind. It just happened moments ago. I mean, we're talking probably about 5 minutes ago it happened. And of course, I had been studying Spanish. I'd been up late last night just watching Spanish programming. And of course, my mind was tired. And so it was out of the equation. I want to share this experience immediately. It was pretty amazing. So I felt the usual movement. And for those of you who have not listened to my Beyond Body episodes, please listen to them because you will understand what the Beyond Body is and what that's all about. But very briefly, the Beyond Body is being transported, at least in my opinion, and it is simply my opinion, that I am transported to someplace else. However, I don't leave my body. This is not the astral plane that I'm on. At least from what I can tell, I could be completely wrong about this, but at least from what I can tell, this is not the astral plane. I do believe I travel to parallel universes of some sort, and there are, I believe, an infinite number of them. Well, I felt the movement, and it's so interesting when it happens because it's like, I don't know, again, I think I've said this before, I don't think I will ever become accustomed to the feeling of movement, the feeling of acceleration. Wow, it is absolutely amazing. And as I felt the motion, as I felt the movement, I asked my guys, I said, okay, I want to see what it looks like. I want to see how I'm moving. And the the area or the place that I was arriving in started to become visible slowly. It was a very slow process. In fact, at first, it seemed almost to be black and white at first. It was a very kind of faded image that I could see. I could see lights and I could see a building of some sort, but it looked old. This place that I was arriving to, and it seemed as if I was coming from the air and I was coming down toward the ground very quickly, but I could see the building. And this place seemed very European to me. I believe I have one subscriber that lives in Europe. I haven't checked the demos to see where all my subscribers are from, but I think there was at least one person from Europe. They'll understand this. It had a very European look to it. Of course, I do understand that Europe is a continent and there were many countries within Europe because I've traveled to Europe many times. And so I should be a little more specific about this. When you know what I'm thinking? Actually, it's interesting. I'm thinking more like Holland. For those of you who have ever been to Holland or Amsterdam, it's called both, but if you've ever been to Amsterdam and you know kind of the architecture there, that's what this reminded me of. This reminded me of being in Amsterdam. I've actually traveled to Amsterdam before, had a lovely time there, but I digress. Anyway, I come down in front of this building, and when I came down, I landed on both my feet, and I was unsteady, at least for quite a bit of time. I was looking around. I was just really trying to gain my balance. I don't know if this was a very, very distant trip. I guess it felt a bit like it was a distant trip. And So I come down, I'm looking around, I'm like, okay. And again, I'm trying to gain my balance. I'm trying to have some sort of balance here because I'm kind of stumbling around. I'm sure people must have thought I was drunk or something. I don't know. This was some kind of restaurant, I believe. It was some sort of a place where people eat. There were tables and people were eating. I saw a lot of older people eating there. There were a lot of older folks. And nobody was paying me much attention. And this happens so often when I come to these places. I mean, nobody's staring or gawking at me. They're not like, who is this guy? It isn't like that at all. They're just kind of going about their business. They were eating. I wasn't able to see the kind of food they were eating, however. And I started looking around and I saw a menu. Now, I couldn't tell you what the menu was, but it was posted on something like a wall. Now, I couldn't tell you exactly where the wall was. I'm just trying to remember different things here. But on the menu, there were certain things that I saw that looked like they were in English to me, and certain things that I saw that looked like they were in a foreign language that I did not recognize. I did not recognize what this language was, but I was just looking on it and I was like, okay, what is this place? What is this? And I looked around some more and I thought, okay, so I probably want to try to ask someone, but when I try to ask people or when I engage in conversation, sometimes I lose my grasp on the place that I'm in. So I really wanted to take my time and kind of look around and observe. Now, the first time I looked at the people that were eating in this place, it was interesting because some people looked solid 3D, whatever, just like we would see in the 3D world. But some of those people also looked animated, and I talked about this thing with me with seeing things in almost looking cartoonish or like a cartoon, almost animated. It's very, very fascinating to me. When I had the discussion with my mother, we talked about there being some sense of this, you're seeing it this way because perhaps this is the nature of what reality is, and you're seeing what it's made of. And when you see what it's made of, your mind is translating that to a cartoon, because a cartoon or something that's animated is created, right? So there were certain people that I saw that had an almost animated look to them. In fact, I remember there was one gentleman that looked almost orange, as if he was drawn in an orange way and whatnot. And then there were people around that gentleman who just looked like just regular, like me, like a 3D person in the 3D world. Fascinating. Really, truly fascinating. As I was taking them in, I also, of course, took in the fact that this world was, of course, very clear. Everything was very clear, high definition. As I always say, HD on steroids. I mean, such clarity there. But again, these people that had this animated look to them, I just thought that was quite unusual. There were people that looked animated and people that looked very just normal near them. So I started walking around and I started looking at the people. And again, they were doing their own thing. Nobody was really talking much. And I decided, okay, I'm going to dive into this. I have no idea, no clue what this world is. I don't know what it is. So I'm going to start asking people. So I started approaching people. I think I approached an older man first. Perhaps it was an older couple, and they were eating. And I said, excuse me, what place is this? And they looked at me like I was crazy. They looked at me like, what are you talking about? It was so interesting because what I said to them, and I continued to ask people, there were other people that I went to and I asked, what is this place? where is this place? They looked at me as if they had absolutely no clue what I was talking about. Like the language was so different to them that they couldn't understand a word I was saying. Wow, just so interesting to me that they looked at me like that. And I thought, well, this is not going to get me anywhere asking about this until I asked. There was one person that I asked, and I think they kind of understood me, and they spoke. When they spoke, there was a ring to their voice. I don't know how to tell you this. When they opened their mouth, it sounded like something was ringing. Like, no, it wasn't like a ringing sound. Again, this is raw. I'm just trying to explain to you what it sounded like. I'm just going to say this because I have no explanation to what their voice sounded like. They didn't, their voice, when I heard their voice, it didn't have a tone like our tone has. Like the tone of my voice as you're listening to my voice, it has a certain tone to it. Regardless of the language that I was speaking, it would still have that same tone. It would have that same sound. These people's voices did not have that sound. It had a completely different sound, a sound that I did not recognize. And when the person said what they said, because I asked what this place was, what this world was, I think he said, Durant. Well, you know what? I can't. I can't do it. I cannot tell you what he said. I have no idea. He said something. But I don't remember. I'm trying to remember what it is. And when he was telling me what it was, it had a ring to it. It had a certain rhythm to it when he said it. But for the life of me, I could not tell you. I could not tell you what it is that he was saying. Now, the last part of this was the most fascinating part to me, which was I saw an older gentleman come up and he looked angry. And this older gentleman threw a rock at me. I don't know why, but he was very upset with me. I have no idea why he was upset with me, but he was apparently. When he threw a rock, I caught it. Anyway, that was my journey this morning. And wow, what a way to start a Saturday morning. Thank you so much for taking yet another journey with me. And I wanted to take a moment, just a brief moment here. I had a very negative comment on one of my recent episodes. And I'm not going to talk about it too much here, but I want to tell you this. I removed the comment, and it was the first negative comment that I've ever seen on my channel. And number one, I want to thank all of the subscribers here for being so positive. You're so wonderful. You're such beautiful people. You don't say, I mean, I've been on different channels in YouTube, and let me tell you, I've seen people say some horrible things on there. And normally when I've been on other channels and when I've seen someone being really, truly negative, I've stepped in and said a few things because, frankly, I don't like that. But in this case, when I saw this, I wondered, what do I do? Because, I've never experienced this. But after discussing with my mom, I thought, yeah. The thing that I have to do, and I'm certain that there will be others that will make these kinds of statements, that will speak in this way. The only thing I can give them is love and light. Love and light. Love is such a powerful thing. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. It is the thread that weaves the fabric of existence. That's what I give this being. I give this being love and light. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.